Haiti qualified for the 2026 World Cup for the first time in over 50 years. 50 years! Think about what that means for a country that has endured everything Haiti has endured: the earthquakes, the political crises, the gang violence, the poverty. Through all of it, their football kept going. Their players kept playing. Their fans kept believing. And in 2025, that belief was rewarded. Haiti made it to the World Cup. And then the travel ban came. Fans from Haiti cannot enter the United States to watch their team play. Not most fans, not some fans, essentially all fans from Haiti itself. Because tourist visas, the B2 visas that are how ordinary people attend international sporting events, are prohibited for Haitian nationals under the existing travel restrictions. Haiti plays all three of their group stage matches in the United States, every single one. No Canadian fixture, no Mexican alternative. 3 matches in America with no fans able to follow them from home. That is one story, one country, one heartbreak. But it's not the only one. And by the time we've gone through the full picture of what the travel bans are doing to this tournament, to fans, to teams, to the atmosphere in stadiums, and to the reputation of a World Cup that was supposed to welcome the world, you'll understand why some of Europe's most senior football voices are no longer willing to stay quiet about it. Before we get into it, if you've been watching football long enough to remember when the World Cup actually felt like it belonged to the fans rather than the finance departments, this channel is for you. Hit subscribe. One click. Takes less time than it takes FIFA to respond to a human rights letter, which, as you'll find out, is quite a long time. Go on. Done? Good. Let's get into it. Start with the timeline, because the travel ban story didn't arrive all at once. It arrived in waves, and each wave hit harder than the one before. On June 4th, 2025, President Trump issued a proclamation restricting or limiting entry of nationals from 19 countries, mostly from the Middle East and Africa. On December 16th, 2025, the administration expanded that list to 39 nations. 39 countries. Fans from 39 countries will largely be unable to attend any matches in the United States during the 2026 World Cup. The 4 teams directly affected, whose fans face full or partial travel bans to the U.S., are Haiti, Iran, Senegal, and Côte d'Ivoire. Fans from each of these countries are unable to attend U.S.-hosted games unless they had valid visas issued before June 9, 2025 for the original 19 countries, or January 1, 2026 for the additional 20 countries. Now let's think about what those dates mean in practice. January 1st, 2026 was the cutoff for Senegal and Côte d'Ivoire fans. The World Cup draw happened on December 5th, 2025. So when Senegalese fans found out which group their team was in, who they were playing, where the matches were being held, they had less than 4 weeks to obtain a valid U.S. visa before the door permanently closed. 4 weeks. Over the Christmas period, to navigate a U.S. visa application process that under normal circumstances takes months. For the vast majority of ordinary Senegalese and Ivorian football fans, that window was never realistic. The door was closed before they could get through it, and it was closed just long enough after the draw that FIFA could say the ban technically came after the groups were announced, while knowing perfectly well that the timeline made legal travel functionally impossible for most fans. Haiti and Iran play all 3 of their group games in the United States. There is no Canadian or Mexican alternative for their fans. Their entire tournament, every match, every moment their team plays, takes place in a country their supporters cannot enter. Let's go deeper on Iran, because Iran's situation has layers that the travel ban story alone doesn't capture. Iran qualified for this tournament from Asia, one of the stories of the qualifying campaign. They were drawn into Group G, with Belgium, Egypt, and New Zealand. All 3 of their matches are scheduled in the United States. And then the military situation escalated. Iran's sports minister stated publicly that his country has no intention of participating in a tournament held in a country actively at war with theirs. FIFA declared they would play as scheduled. That standoff has not been resolved with 33 days to go. Iran may not show up at all. And if they don't, Belgium, Egypt, and New Zealand are left playing in a group that lost one of its 4 teams before a ball was kicked. Now look at what the travel ban is doing beyond the 4 directly affected, because the ban's effects are wider than the list of 39 countries suggests. The Trump administration has also implemented the Visa Bond Program, under which citizens or nationals of 50 countries are required to pay a bond of up to $15,000 before traveling temporarily to the United States. $15,000 as a deposit just to apply for a tourist visa to attend a football match. 5 of the 50 countries on the bond list are World Cup qualified nations: Algeria, Cape Verde, Côte d'Ivoire, Senegal, and Tunisia. For a supporter from Algeria or Senegal, where average annual incomes are a fraction of $15,000, this is not a barrier. It is a wall with a sign that says the World Cup is not for you. The World Cup is supposed to unite the world. Right now, the United States is asking the world to prove it qualifies first. American Immigration Council. That line was written by a travel publication, not a human rights organization, not a political campaign, a travel writer describing the visa process for football fans in 2026, and it captures something real. Here's what makes this story genuinely different from every other access problem in World Cup history. The travel ban doesn't just affect the fans directly, it affects the atmosphere in stadiums, it affects the image of the tournament, and it affects the European nations who have been watching all of this and deciding what it means for them. Think about the European fan in England or Germany or the Netherlands planning to travel to the United States this summer. They don't face a travel ban, they can get a visa, they can afford the tickets, and yet study after study, survey after survey shows that a significant number of them have decided not to come. Not because they can't, because the climate of the host country has made them not want to. Critics note that key U.S. tourism bodies, including Brand USA and the U.S. Travel Association, have remained largely silent on these mounting concerns, creating a communications vacuum that is being filled with negative press coverage in Europe. American Immigration Council. Negative press coverage in Europe. Every story about a fan from Senegal who can't attend, every story about a Haitian supporter who has waited 50 years for this moment and can't cross the border, every story about the $15,000 bond, every story about ICE operations in host cities, every story about the father detained at the Club World Cup while his children watched. Each of those stories lands in a European newspaper. Each one is read by a potential ticket buyer in Manchester or Munich or Amsterdam, and each one contributes to a decision. Is this worth it? And here's the thing about this point in the conversation. If you're finding this genuinely useful, subscribe now, because the next story we're building covers what specific European nations are doing in response to all of this, and it's a story you'll want to have seen first. Subscribe. The button's right there. The European reaction to the travel bans has been building for months. In February 2026, 19 members of the European Parliament wrote an open letter directly to UEFA, not FIFA, UEFA, calling for public criticism of FIFA and allowing a discussion about possible consequences, including a boycott, to take place. They cited policies and rhetoric from the U.S. administration that raised serious concerns about respect for international law and democratic standards. Norway's Football Federation President Lise Klaveness, sitting on UEFA's executive committee, said an isolated boycott is not effective, but that European nations need to speak with one voice. Germany's DFB Vice President Oki Gottlieb said publicly that the time has definitely come to seriously consider a boycott. The Dutch petition calling for a boycott gathered over 135,000 signatures. None of those positions has translated into action. Germany is going to the World Cup. So is Norway. So is the Netherlands. The boycott debate has been loud, and the boycott itself has not materialized. But what it has produced, combined with the travel bans, the ICE operations, the visa bond, and the ticket prices, is a European fan base that is traveling to this tournament in smaller numbers, with less enthusiasm, and with more anxiety than any previous World Cup in living memory. Fans from affected nations will still be able to attend matches in Mexico and Canada, where there is no travel ban, and where entry requirements are significantly more accessible, and that is exactly what's happening. International fans who can't enter the United States, or who've decided not to try, are gravitating toward Toronto and Mexico City. They're buying tickets for matches in Canada and Mexico. They're spending their money in cities where the welcome is genuine and unconditional. And the economic benefit of the World Cup, the hotel bookings, the restaurant spending, the transport revenues, is following them there rather than staying in America. NPR. The FIFA Pass program was supposed to be the answer to the access problem. At a White House event attended by Trump, Secretary of State Marco Rubio, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem, and FIFA Infantino, the administration announced FIFA Pass, a priority visa appointment system for World Cup ticket holders. The announcement was made with considerable fanfare. Infantino and Trump stood together. The message was, we've solved this. We've created a system that fast-tracks World Cup fans through the visa process. American Immigration Council. What the announcement left out is what makes FIFA Pass so limited in practice. FIFA Pass gives you a faster appointment. It doesn't guarantee a visa. All applicants still face exactly the same vetting procedures and restrictions as every other applicant, and fans from travel-banned countries cannot use FIFA Pass to get around the ban. The ban still applies. The ticket in their hand changes nothing. A fan from Senegal who bought a World Cup ticket goes through FIFA Pass, gets a priority interview, and is still told no. A White House spokesman, when asked about the no respite situation for fans from travel-banned countries, said thanks to President Trump's leadership, the FIFA World Cup 2026 will be one of the greatest and most spectacular events in the history of mankind, right here in the United States of America. Mike Hell. The greatest and most spectacular events in the history of mankind, from which the fans of 4 qualified nations are banned from attending. These two things were said by the same administration about the same tournament on the same day. Here's the bigger picture, and it needs to be said clearly. The travel bans are not going to be lifted before June 11th. The $15,000 bond is not being removed. FIFA Pass does not override national immigration law. Haiti, Iran, Senegal, and Côte d'Ivoire fans will arrive at the 2026 World Cup in the same position they're in today, locked out of the American portion of the tournament. The 39 countries whose nationals face full or partial travel bans will remain on that list. Amnesty International said due to travel bans under the Trump administration, fans from Côte d'Ivoire, Haiti, Iran, and Senegal will be unable to travel and enter the U.S. to support their team, unless they had valid visas before January 1, 2026. Other fans face intrusive surveillance, with proposals to force visitors to make their social media accounts available for vetting and screening for anti-Americanism. CBC News. Screening for anti-Americanism at a World Cup, the tournament that is supposed to bring the whole world together in one place, united by football, and visitors may need to prove they are not anti-American before they are allowed in. The 2026 World Cup will go ahead. The football will be extraordinary. The matches will produce moments that transcend every problem surrounding them, because football always does. But the story of how many fans were locked out before those moments arrived, how many supporters waited 50 years for their nation's World Cup return and couldn't cross the border, that story has already been written. And no goal, no trophy, no amount of television revenue undoes it. Haiti qualified for the World Cup for the first time since 1974, and their fans can't watch them play. That is the sentence that should be at the center of every conversation about the 2026 FIFA World Cup. Not the ticket prices, not the hotel rates. That sentence. So here's the question I want to leave you with. Is this something FIFA should have been able to prevent, or was this always beyond football's reach once the hosting decision was made? And what does it mean for the sport if the World Cup continues to be held in countries where the welcome isn't truly universal? Drop your answer in the comments. You've been watching football long enough to have a view that matters. And if this kind of coverage, every angle, every story, every human detail, is why you're here, subscribe. Share this with someone who doesn't yet know how complicated this tournament has become, and come back for the next one.